In today's lesson, it comes from Common Sense Media, and we're going to be looking at writing good emails, but we're going to be looking at it in the broader context of communicating online versus maybe communicating face-to-face, and teaching kids about some of the nuances of communicating online and some of the parameters that they can use to kind of help them communicate effectively in an online digital environment. When we think about communicating online, hey, Francine, stop it. Raise your hand if you thought I was mad. Why'd you think I was mad? Aaliyah, why'd you think I was mad?
I think you were mad because you were talking loud and you kind of did it like meanly.
Good, so my volume of my voice changed. I said it loudly, and I said it meanly. You mean like the tone of my voice changed. Raise your hand if you thought I was mad at Francine. How'd you know I was mad at Francine? Dylan?
You were looking at her and you said mean.
I was looking at her, I said her name. Did I get closer to her? Right, so you used all those cues, my facial expressions, my body language, the tone of my voice, the volume of my voice, all of that for you to know what I was trying to communicate. Now, when we're online, we don't have all of those cues. Right? We can't figure out exactly what people are saying because we don't hear their tone of voice. We don't see their facial expression. So, as writers, when you're writing online, and as readers, when you're reading things that are online, you have to think of making sure you're thinking of the whole context or providing a whole context so that somebody does understand what you're saying. As a computer lab teacher, I think that I have an important role in teaching kids about being good digital citizens because they're growing up in a world that's very digital rich and very digital dependent. And so I think that any digital formats that they're using, any online media that they're using, they need to use it in a responsible way. In an email or on a post on a blog or even on a social networking site, any of those things, we shouldn't be putting anything we wouldn't say to someone's face. And when I put it out there, let's say I'm on the playground, I'm talking to Sebastian, and I say something that's kind of mean to him. And he's the only one around. How many people heard that? One or two, right? He heard it and I heard it. What if I decide to put that on Facebook? How many people might see that, do you think, in an hour? How many people? I've seen lots of hands, right? Raise your hand if in class Mr. Ohama expects you to spell words correctly. He expects you to use correct grammar, right? He expects you to complete sentences, right? That's something we talk about from kindergarten on here. Well, writing in your classroom and in the real world is not that different than writing online. You still have to use correct grammar. You still have to use correct spelling. We have to think about our audience. And so right now, we're going to take just about 20 seconds. Tell someone next to you who might be like a formal audience. So your friends and maybe your family members or your informal audience. Who might be a formal audience that you would be writing to? Just take about 10 seconds. Go ahead.
A formal audience would be your teachers, and informal might be your family. Yeah.
Who might be a formal audience? Mercedes? Okay, so sometimes you're brothers and sisters, right? But usually you're pretty informal with family eventually. Aaliyah? Okay, your grandmother. So that's a good difference between brother and sister and grandma, right? So some grandmas know a lot about communicating online. Raise your hand if your grandma knows a lot about communicating online. Raise your hand if your grandma knows nothing about communicating online. They get very confused, right? So there is a thing to consider in terms of the age of the person and their familiarity with technology, right? So you're going to make sure that you're clear. You're not going to be speaking in texting language to your grandma. She's going to write your mom back and say, has she been in school? So you want to make sure that your tone is communicated when you're emailing or you're texting or you're posting something because they can't hear your voice, right? You want to be very clear about your idea. And we can do that by providing context, right? You can add additional information. Using just like the words, you post to a blog and you say, it was good. Does that tell you anything? No. Do you know what it was? No. Do you know why something was good? No, right? So you need to provide more context, provide information for people because they can't sit there and just talk to you. They can't ask you questions. And then one other thing with netiquette, do not write in all caps? Why do you not write in all caps? Yep.
Because it sounds like you're yelling at them.
Good. So you could maybe put one word in all caps, or one word in bold, or one word in italics to emphasize that word, or maybe even a few words, right? To say, this I really want you to pay attention to. But if you write everything in all caps, someone thinks that you're shouting at them. All right, so you have to make sure that we follow kind of those rules of etiquette. Sometimes students don't really reflect on how they're communicating with other people, whether it be verbally or in writing, but especially in writing, that's a challenge with students. And so when you teach writing in general with your kids, you teach them about thinking about their audience, thinking about their format, making sure that they're including enough context to communicate their ideas clearly. And those are the same sorts of skills we need to teach with digital writing, especially because that's more of the writing that they're going to be doing from this point forward compared to how it was in the past. And so they need to understand that when they're writing online, even though their audience might be 10,000 people versus just their teacher, they need to still consider those same facts.